So Netflix dropped a documentary on Javaris Critterton and Gilbert Arenas, locker room spat that led to, both of their careers being ruined in the NBA. And spoiler alert in this, we're going to talk about some of the points that I have from watching it. So I'm going to assume that you watched it. I'm going to assume that you know what's going on. This is not necessarily a review, but this is going to be a highlight of a few things that I noticed that we need to discuss. But for anybody who doesn't know, this is pretty much an incident that happened in '09 that, consequences were administered in 2010, 50-game suspension for both of them. And it's old news, so it's not a spoiler. But what happened was they had an altercation and guns were drawn in the locker room. Guns were drawn in the locker room. So it's definitely worth a watch. It's not a long watch. If you don't want to watch it, I guarantee you there are little YouTube mini documentaries or mini videos that go over, the whole incident. But there's some details in there about Javaris Critterton's life that, I really haven't seen anywhere else as far as the actual details. So it's definitely worth a watch. Now, the first point that I'm going to discuss very briefly is the single mom dynamic, as far as they let it be known at the start that he didn't have a adult male role model in his life, and he was raised by his mom. But this was one of the biggest things that they made sure they touched on when they spoke to his mom and they spoke to him. He was taught by the women in his life, as far as his female elders, respect is everything. Be all about your respect. Don't let nobody get off on you. That's cool to some extent. That's cool to some extent. But the thing is, that's cool when you go. I'm going to keep it so real with you. I hope you can stick with me. That's cool when you in the hood on the playground and shit. That's cool when you dealing with niggas at school, like niggas at school. That's cool in that environment. When you get to a certain age, you need discernment. And that's something that not only was not cultivated in him, but it's not cultivated in a lot of people from the hood, just keeping it real. And the one thing that single moms pretty much get a bad rap on when it comes to the boys and things like that, and other people criticizing the men raised by single moms, is the guys are too emotional and they're too emotionally reactive. Respect is everything. I have a video on that. But the thing about that is you have to understand the environment that you're in and understand, in his case, the opportunity that he had as far as the NBA. And this is not the time to stand on business and have a full-fledged nigga moment with guns. Like, you can't. And see, this is the thing about a lot of niggas, man. And I'm going to keep it so real. Like, we could say the single mom shit to some extent, but to some extent, it's like the hood makes motherfuckers this way. I can't tell you everybody that come from a single mom home, but I've seen this shit up close and personal. But niggas got this thing to where it's like, niggas will hear what I'm saying right now, and they'll still be like, shit, nigga, I don't give a fuck. Nigga can't hold me in no situation. Nigga, I ain't scared of no nigga on God's green earth. They got a Kevin Gates type of complex. If you know what I'm talking about and you watch Kevin Gates interviews and stuff like that, like, he really be on some, like, I'll make a nigga die, all that shit. And, like, I can't nobody on God's green earth tell me nothing, make me do nothing, all that shit. Even though niggas like him go to prison and submit to the guards. But that's the first dynamic, foreshadowing what comes later. So the second thing that we have to go over is the actual altercation. The actual altercation. And what it comes down to is the discernment that I mentioned. You have to really recognize, and I'm saying you got to recognize what life is before you even get into these situations as an adult. If you beat up the wrong person, you will catch an assault charge. Pretty sure that's a felony. If you go to fight somebody, they might pull a gun on you. Even then, y'all got grown man strength, and in this case, y'all both like athletes over 6 foot. It's possible you could get a permanent brain injury or brain trauma. Like, it's all types of bad stuff that can happen just from fighting. But even then, even on some real life shit, if you punch the wrong person, like I mentioned, you could get shot, or it could be even worse. You don't know the status of the person that you punch. It could be a cartel member's like fucking nephew or some shit that you just punched. Now you may think I'm overthinking it, but this is the thing. This is the thing that you got to understand. Everything that I mentioned just comes down to two things. You either, if you decide to throw hands or engage in an altercation and escalate it all the way, you got to be ready for two things. You got to be either ready to A, go to jail, or B, kill or be killed. You got to be ready for one of those two. If you are not ready for those consequences, it don't, and you got, and I'm not saying this, this is what you got to understand. Fuck the bluffing. Fuck the bluffing. Fuck, posturing. Fuck posturing as well. Like, I got to look a certain way so that people treat me a certain way and da-da-da-da. You got to know before this shit happens, how far are you willing to go? A lot of people never think about this, especially niggas that's too hard, especially niggas that think I got to be respected in every situation by everybody by any means. And guess what happens? Those people end up dead or in jail in a lot of situations. So when we come to this situation, Gilbert is a clown. Gilbert fucks with everybody on the team. The way that Critterton's ego works is not only has he always been a star on every team he's been on, even though he played with Dwight Howard, and Dwight Howard was a star as well in high school, but he had that ego complex to where, I see what he doing in the motherfuckers. He can't do that shit to me. He can't do. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, I got some of that in me. But the thing is, I have a better understanding of where things can go and when to hold them, when to fold them, all that shit. I got a better understanding than he does. So he's playing poker on a plane. Gil start fucking with him. And then, he buck up to Gil, basically. And this is where shit goes real left. Because niggas can pop shit. Niggas can talk about fighting. Critterton says, yo, you talking all this fighting shit and beating ass and shit like that, nigga. I play with guns, nigga. You might get shot. Gil has this thing going on as far as his ego, to where it's like, the team is watching. And I'm the star of the team. I'm the leader of the team. I can't be holed by a younger nigga because I'll lose respect by the other niggas on the team. Plus, Gil got a little bit of crazy in him. So Gil says, he didn't take it there. Guess what? This is what I do. I got more guns than you. Gil got like 400 guns. I will bring you a gun to shoot me with. And that's exactly what he did. They got to the locker room on a day. And this is the thing. This is how you know niggas make bad emotional decisions. That's exactly what this is. Niggas make bad emotional decisions. When Critterton got off the plane, he was hoping and praying it would blow over. He didn't know what to expect when he got in the situation because motherfuckers move off emotion and they not calculated. That's how a lot of hood niggas and just motherfuckers who engage in a lot of violence, that's how they move. They move off instinct. They don't calculate shit. This is a problem he know he didn't want. And ultimately, you know how it played out. Gil popped up with the two guns, and then Buddy said, yo, like, nigga, who the fuck is you? He threw the guns. Like, I don't need your guns to shoot you, nigga. I brought my own. He pulled his strap. Decision that ruined his life. Fuck his career. It ruined his life. So the need to prove that he is tough ruined his life. And he still didn't drop that shit after that. It carried through his life until he went to prison for the last incident that I'm going to mention. But that's the second thing you got to take away from this, man. Don't be making emotional decisions. And sometimes you just got to let niggas have it, bro. I don't give a fuck what niggas, like, sometimes you just got to let niggas have it, bro. Because if you will, like, it's certain things you got to stand on. And I'm going to tell you some things that you got to stand on. If somebody, essays your daughter, you might have to, and I'm not talking about no just allegations. I'm talking about like, I was drunk and da-da-da. I'm talking about like forcibly, do some things like forcibly, like cold-blooded. Yeah, you might have to stand on some business about that. Somebody tells you in front of your whole family, SMD. especially in front of your wife and kids, it's almost like they are asking to die, if I'm being honest. So it's certain, and even then, that you could still probably just stand up for yourself without going too crazy or whatever, if we being real, without going to jail or somebody dying. But the thing is, there are certain things like I'm trying to think of an example. Matter of fact, this is the one right here. Boom. Let's take that last one. A dude say you and your wife could SMD at the same time, and then he spit in your face. It's like, bruh, like you're asking, like something. We could say it's all ego or whatever, but bruh, like those types of situations, you go on what somebody is going way too far to try and emasculate you. So it's like in those situations, I understand it, but like just he talking shit to you while you gambling and stuff like that, and he calling you junior or whatever the case may be, or saying you owe me money. I don't know how you talking to other people about they need to pay up and shit. Whatever it is, like that petty shit, you should be able to let that go. The altercation to start over something like that. But that other shit that I mentioned is hard to let some shit like that slide. But I must say, there is a universal, understandable line that everybody, especially men, know you shouldn't cross. But at the end of the day, you always got to remember that the law don't care about that line. Now, to illustrate this last point, I'm just going to go over the last arc of, basically what was going on. So, Critterton loses his NBA career, right? They kick him out the NBA, basically. He goes to China. He's having basketball difficulties to the point where he is just destroyed. Like, he is completely blackballed, basically. So, what does he decide to do? He's from the projects, right? His people still live in Atlanta in the same neighborhood. He decides to go back to the same neighborhood. But the thing about this is he's not broke. He still has money. And guess what? He also has status. So, of course, he wants the babes. Of course, he wants the flash. He wants the attention. So he's riding around in, nice cars with jewelry all over him all the time in the trenches, in the hood. And one of the things that they mentioned, just to illustrate what this is like Cleveland Ave or whatever. And this is like where Young Thug and them used to be at and shit like that. It's homicides going on at that time, like every week on that street, in that area, etc. So it's a really hot area for not just crime, but homicide as well. Let me just condense all of this so we can get to the point. He gets robbed, not once, but several times. And he's not a thug. He's calling the cops and reporting the shit, right? But the thing is, once he found out from the cops because he kept getting robbed from one of the robberies, he seen the suspects and he was like, "Oh no, I ain't gonna handle this through y'all. I'm gonna handle this on the street." So he started going and he started getting leads and et cetera, talking to people. And let me just make the story less long. He finds out who did it. Calls the dude. He got the call recorded. They played the call on the documentary. The dude said he gonna spray him up when he see him and all types of shit. Either give me the money or shut the fuck up and I'm gonna spray you when I see you. He's getting death threats. Long story short, he goes and finds the dude, right? And he's riding around like he got something to prove, trying to smoke the dude and shit, right? He goes to smoke the dude, and unfortunately, he killed a woman. He didn't even kill the dude. I don't even know if the dude got hit. He said 2 people was laying down. But let me check that right now. Yeah, he didn't hit another person, but he shot at some other people. So he did 2 shootings. But listen, the point that I'm going to make here, because we already touched on 2 points that pretty much led to this. Like, you should just know when to let stuff go. You should know when to not go too far, et cetera, et cetera. You shouldn't be emotional and make emotional decisions, et cetera, et cetera. But the last lesson or point that I want to touch on is I will never understand as somebody that is from the hood, but I didn't live in no projects or no shit like that. I never understood or never understand. I'll never understand how some people spend the majority of their life in the hood. And even in worse conditions and situations than I've ever been in. But still don't understand the hood after spending so much time in it, seeing more than I've seen, experiencing more than I've seen. And you still don't get it. I said it in the other video about the backdoor shit. When you're around broke ass, thirsty ass, hungry, dusty, grimy ass niggas, which you, if you're in the hood, if you're in the trenches, you're gonna be in this environment. There are gonna be a lot of these around. It's not all the dudes there, it's not even a majority, but it's a good amount of people who are like this. If you are drawing too much attention to yourself, if you are shining, if you have too much status, you become a target, not just for haters, but for people who want to get money off of robbing you and shit like that, taking your shit and reselling it, or even wearing the shit. So that's what it comes down to. When you look at those things, like going back, he's a lost dude. Critterton was a lost dude. He did 10 years. So this is all old shit I'm talking about. But the reason he is lost is because he went to when he was playing for the Lakers, he became a Crip, bro. He got some Crip shit tattooed on his body, like a C with a flag. And Nick Young is from LA, and he's seen that shit, and he was like, oh man, this nigga, he lost in the sauce. He became a part of a LA set out there, bro. So he was really a lost dude at that point in his life, 100%, not 98%, not 75%, no, 100%. He was a lost dude. And going back to the hood is bad decision number one, as far as like just going back to the hood, period. You got enough money to live anywhere. He said he had a girl in Baltimore, man. Once he was getting robbed and stuff like that, he went to Baltimore. And then when he came back to Atlanta and touched down, like he was getting robbed again. They don't like you there. I mean, another bonus lesson I could throw in there is when you get too much money, the people, and you can see this if you listen to Mike Epps' interviews. Mike Epps touched on this multiple times. Like, when you're getting too much money, the people from the hood that you came up with and that know you and shit, they not going to really fuck with you like that. It's going to be some jealousy there. You look at somebody like Kodak Black, who do so much for his hood, and the Haitians down in Miami and in the ugly corner and shit where he come from and shit. Nigga, that nigga still ended up beefing with Jack Boy, a nigga that he completely put on, and he changed his life. He got real street beef with Jack Boy. I can't even tell you over what. But them niggas got a petty ass beef, and it's all niggas that it's niggas that you come up with. Like, it's people that you come up with from the hood. So it's like your success breeds jealousy. Mike Epps, he talks about the same shit to where, you know, the only time the people that he grew up with and came up with in the hood loved him, the people closest to him, is when he was fucked up like them. When he was on coke and fucked up and crying, you know, that's when they'll console him, they love him. But if he healthy and he happy, they hate that shit and they try and tell him, oh, you think you better than us type shit. They give him that energy. They'll tell him that verbally. So that's what it is. So the hood is just some really low vibrational, crabs in a barrel, you know, real hostile environment. And I know some of y'all still there. Some of y'all love it so much. Some of y'all go back all the time. Some of y'all love going to the corner store, getting their wings and shit like that, the gas station food, all that shit. All of that shit is cool, man. And if you're a regular person in the hood, like it's a little different, but it can still get sticky for you depending on how you moving, who you around, because regular people die all the time, unfortunately. I mean, if you look at what's his name, man? Gilly the Kid's son. Unfortunately, like, he was just wrong place, wrong time. He wasn't even into nothing. And they killed him and then bragged about it in raps. And the dude who was bragging about it got killed. He got killed. How you bragging about killing somebody that ain't into nothing? Like, and even then, the story that I heard, through the hip hop channels and stuff like that. The dude who killed Gilly's son, he killed some other people that he wasn't beefing with just to get a name. Just to get a name. So that's the type of people like, and don't get it twisted. The type of person he is, that's not even 2% of the hood. I ain't gonna say that's not 2%, but I'll say it's not 10% of the hood. But it's still people like that. It might be somebody like that in a hood near you. And that shit is scary and spooky. You gotta understand that these types of motherfuckers just, bro, that's what they do. So the whole point I'm making is this nigga going back to the hood was a big mistake. Going back to the hood with the status that he had is fucking stupid. Going back to the hood and then trying to shine and stun on everybody around all these criminals. And I have to be real specific when I say that criminal, because it's not regular black people robbing him. It's not niggas that got jobs robbing him. These is career street niggas who might even just be the Reggie man or might just be robbing people you don't even got to hustle type shit. These are career criminals that he's dealing with. So shining on them people is just a bad decision. And then the worst decision he could make, other than staying there after getting robbed so much, is thinking that he got to prove something or thinking that he got to get some people back and picking the guns up and shooting at motherfuckers. That is the biggest mistake. So I could talk more about like some of the stuff Gilbert had going on, because he was egging the shit on, and like when the situation was hot, he was like doing too much in the media, joking about it, and it was really fucking up Critterton's career and stuff like that, because they both were kind of one. David Stern told Critterton like, yo, even though you quiet, you and Gilbert are one right now. Y'all are one. And Gilbert, he dropped some secrets in that shit that you gonna have to watch it for that. But yeah, I could talk about Gilbert, but those three things that I went over, I was so compelled to make a video about it, because it's like, this is a lost man, and there's so many young dudes in the hood like that. And one of the biggest things that was a catalyst for all of this, he's a statistic. He's a statistic. He's a part of that single mother statistic. When we look at the prison system, and it's like, oh, so many of these dudes come from single mother homes. I don't know if it's 85%. I can't remember. But yeah, coming from a single mother household, he is a statistic. And this is an up close look at one of those statistics. That's it for today. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gone.